Let's set the scene. Picture this. You just hopped off a boat in Istanbul. You've got that very specific kind of pleasant exhaustion that hits you after seeing way too much beautiful stuff in way too little time, right? So you're wandering near the famous Galata Bridge. The sun's out, you find a bench facing the water, and you just sit. You catch your breath, and as you sit there, you start watching these local fishermen lined up right along the edge, casting their lines out over the water. It sounds totally idyllic, doesn't it? Just a simple, perfect little picturesque moment. Well, in this explainer, we're going to see how this completely ordinary scene actually unfolds into this incredibly profound realization about human nature. Let's get right into it.
For 1 second, that boy had chosen mercy by accident. Man, what a beautiful, striking sentence. But what does that actually mean, right? How does a quote like that fit into a sunny day of fishing in Istanbul? Well, it brings up a really massive question. Are the rigid rules of survival, the ways we just automatically operate in the world, are they completely innate? Like, are we born with them? Or are they taught to us, sometimes totally systematically and unconsciously, by the adults around us? Just keep that in the back of your mind as we dive a little deeper into our scene.
Okay, let's look at where we actually are. If you're picturing a quiet, peaceful lake, you've got to erase that right now. The reality of the Bosphorus Strait near Galata Bridge is the exact opposite. It is chaotic. It's so loud. You've got massive ferries, roaring engines, blaring horns, huge wakes crashing. It is literally the endless churn of Istanbul. Honestly, the author sitting on that bench almost laughed at how seriously the fishermen were taking this. You look at this incredibly busy, super industrial stretch of sea, literally one of the busiest waterways on the planet, and you just think there's absolutely no way a self-respecting fish would consciously choose to hang out here. The water traffic is just overwhelming. But, the lines are cast anyway.
And against all odds, those lines keep coming up. And what are they pulling out of this giant churning waterway? 6 to 10 centimeters. That's it! These tiny, tiny little silver bodies. They flash in the sun for just a second, thrashing around at the end of the line, almost like they're totally shocked that anyone bothered to catch them. It is such a wild contrast, right? This vast, roaring, massive sea giving up these tiny, fragile little specks of life. Our author actually noted that they had no idea who was buying these fish or what kind of tiny meal they'd even make. But you know what? It didn't matter. Fish is fish. And the fishermen pulling them in were just absolutely thrilled.
So if we just slow down for a second and really watch these guys, the whole vibe of the scene shifts. The men lined up aren't grumpy, they aren't just punching the clock. They're actually really cheerful. There's almost this ceremonial feel to the whole thing. The author describes the spot not just as a place to fish, but as a small public theater. And the absolute best, most captivating part of this daily show was how the fishermen actively pulled the passing crowds into it. Basically, anytime a family with little kids would wander close to watch, these young fishermen would kick off this very specific, really charming little routine.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the system the adults have set up. It's a super rigid, 3-step routine. Step 1, the fisherman carefully unhooks the tiny, squirming fish. Step 2, he smiles and invites a passing, usually pretty bashful little kid to step up and hold it. Step 3, the kid drops the fish straight into a blue bucket. Boom. Over and over again. It is a flawless piece of street theater. You've got the wriggling fish, the shy kid, and the totally beaming, approving adults all standing around cheering them on. Everybody knows their part, and they play it perfectly. It's this incredibly smooth system of interaction that works every single time. Well, until it doesn't.
Because everything completely shifts when this one specific little boy walks up. A family stops to watch. The fisherman unhooks a tiny fish. Just like always, he holds it out. The little boy steps forward and takes this tiny, living creature into his hands. But he totally misunderstands the assignment. The entire 3-step system we just talked about, it breaks down in an absolute instant. Because as the boy holds this thrashing little life in his hands, instead of looking down for the bucket, he looks out at the water.
And in that single split second, we see this incredible stark contrast. I mean, the adult expectation is super clear, right? Drop the fish in the bucket. That's the rule. That is how the system works. But look at the child's raw instinct. Holding that fish, his immediate, totally untaught reaction is to lift his hand, wind up, and try to chuck it right back into the Bosphorus. His gut instinct is to return it to the exact freedom it was just stolen from. He wasn't looking at a prize to collect in some blue plastic bucket. He was looking at a captive that just needed to go home.
But as you can probably guess, the adult world steps in. The crowd surrounding this kid, his parents, the fishermen, the random onlookers, they all just burst into laughter. And yeah, it's a fond, warm laughter, but it comes with immediate action. They gently grab his little raised arm and stop him. They physically and emotionally redirect the kid. They turn his little body away from that vast open sea and point him right back down to the blue bucket. They literally guide his pure, innocent instinct straight back into their established system. The fish goes in the bucket, the play resumes. Everything goes back to normal.
So the crucial point here is what happened next. The author, watching from the bench, laughed along with everyone else at first. But a bit later, really sitting with that memory, this huge, profound realization hits. Quote, "We adults, with our buckets and systems, teach children very early how the world works." Just let that sink in for a second. It really forces us to take a massive step back from the Galata Bridge and look right at our own lives. Because those buckets, they aren't just for fish. And those systems aren't just a quirky thing for tourists. They are the actual frameworks we all use to navigate and survive our daily reality. And whether we mean to or not, we pass them right on to the next generation, constantly correcting their pure instincts so they fit neatly into our learned rules.
And this brilliantly illustrates the exact lessons being passed down in that tiny, seemingly harmless moment. Let's really break them down. First rule: what is caught must be kept. You don't give it back. In our world, achievement equals possession. Second rule: what is innocent must be corrected. That boy's pure, sweet desire to free the fish, it was treated as a silly little mistake that needed gentle but very firm fixing. And a third rule: survival has rules. The adults just know that fish belong in buckets because, well, that's how the human world operates. But by enforcing these rules, we systematically, almost casually, override that beautiful initial spark of empathy.
As the author so beautifully put it, for one fleeting second, that boy had chosen mercy by accident, and the author absolutely loved him for it. It's just such a powerful reminder of the instincts we all kind of lose as we grow up and learn to carry around our own blue buckets. So as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a direct challenge. Think about your own routines right now. Think about your own systems and how you interact with the people around you. Ask yourself, what merciful mistakes have you corrected today? Thank you so much for hanging out and exploring this amazing little story with us. I really hope it leaves you looking at your own world just a little bit differently.